Welcome to episode 4 of Clothes and Roses.
Episode 4 already.
Yeah.
Me and my husband, like, when I'm sore, he'll come home and he'll be like, I feel so sore and I don't know why. And sometimes we're like, well, it's because I worked out today. And I think I think it's a real thing. And I wanted to see if anybody else out there experienced this too. But uh, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I told my doctor that I didn't have any morning sickness. And my husband was like the one that was throwing up and feeling nauseous in the morning, but I never felt that. And my doctor actually said it's a real thing. It's called sympathy pains. And I was just kind of
Wow.
wondering if like anybody ever experienced that.
I am not familiar with that. I have heard of such things happening, but I do believe in like pain transference. So I don't know. It's like there is sympathy pain, but then it's like I also think I've seen where animals will pass away, and I think the owner was making bad decisions at the time. Like if they're over drinking, their liver should have probably gotten sclerosis. But what ended up happening is their dog passes away from a liver issue at a younger age than it was supposed to. Lives a healthy life and everything. So I think you can like your dog almost or any animal that loves you can like transfer and absorb that pain or whatever you're going through for you. I 100% agree that it exists. But what's funny is that with like my wife, I do not have sympathy pain. I think that she has like feeling what your partner feels, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain. I don't necessarily have that with her because I think she has a wider emotional range than I do, and so like just different emotions feel different to me, and I'm sure that a lot of husbands and wives can relate to this. Like the things that a husband, like the level of anger a husband can feel. Like anger is gonna vary from person to person, like what the anger looks like or sadness, how you let those things out, happiness. But yeah, I do agree that those wavelengths exist. You're connected to
Hmm.
each other, so it's those interesting metaphysical ways.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I'll go to the gym and I'll work on a muscle group that I'm not always familiar with working on, and so because of that, my body gets sore right away. And
He's like, "What is this weird pain
yeah,
I've never
and
felt before?"
and it's
Some
like
new muscle I'm
I
working
did
on.
legs yesterday. Like for example, I did legs yesterday, and then all of a sudden my husband comes home from work and he's like limping in, and I'm like, "What happened to you?" And he goes, "I don't know. I'm just so sore on my legs." And so I was like wondering. I wonder if anybody else feels this, but there's also that saying like when you have like a soulmate,
Mm-hmm.
you do feel those kinds of things. I will say that my husband and I are extremely empathetic people in our own ways. Um, Sometimes I take on other people's pain. Honestly, I'm not even like thinking about it. I just feel it. Like I'm one of those people that'll watch a movie and completely cry over some people that I don't know, some made up story. I like don't ever ask me to watch Marley and Me.
Yeah, no,
I hate that
no.
movie, but yeah, like anything that I feel like if I'm like putting myself in the shoes of a character, I feel that real pain. And so maybe that's why it happens. Um, but like my husband and I are completely in tune with each other physically and emotionally too, because when he's not like feeling well emotionally or mentally, I know. I don't even have to talk to him. It's just like, I know it's a bad day today, you know? And he feels the same thing with me. Like, if I am having a bad day at work or something bad happens at work, he automatically knows. Like, I mean, I'm not really that hard to read either. Like, if I'm mad, you know,
I okay, so
I'm
I
extreme like that.
I have a question. Like, do you believe in the one? Like that you're born into this world and there is like the one person that's meant to, for you out there. Does that exist, do you think?
I absolutely feel that way.
Okay.
Um, but also, there's like a caveat to that because I feel like there's the one, but there's the one for who you are at that time.
That yeah, that's solid because I listen to some really successful people in life who do start off like their career journeys or whatever journey with a spouse, but even when they part mutually, it's, you know, people on the outside always view like divorce as such a sad thing, but for them within the marriage, like they understand that feeling of like we just mutually didn't, you know, want this togetherness
Yeah.
anymore. Like it was time for something different. And I was like, I don't know what that's like. I hope I never experience what that's like
Yeah.
personally. But yeah, I can understand like that feeling does exist out there. And I guess with the whole like the one piece, it's like they're the one for a duration of life, right? But then it's, do you think that it's just making you more prepared and more of who you should be for the next one? Or like after
Uh,
you've
yeah.
split ways, like that's all the time with the one that you get.
No. I'm strong. I strongly believe that if that's your person for that part and season of your life, it's absolutely preparing you for the next person and season of your life,
Mm.
because you won't become the person you're supposed to be until your season is up with that one person. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you meet the next person, if there's a next person, because a lot of the times your one grows with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Wow,
I don't
there
want
it
to say
is.
a lot of the times, but like most of the time, if it's a one person, like you look at, like, you ever like look at, and this could go both ways, so don't go all the way with what I'm saying. But I noticed that, like, in my grandparents' time, people, like, you go to like 50-year anniversaries and stuff like that, because people, like, when she got married, you were married, and that's
Yep.
the way it was, and it's like you're with that person forever. However, in my situation, um, my maternal side,
Mm-hmm.
my grandma and grandpa had 7 kids together.
Wow.
Um, but they were not necessarily one. Okay, because, like, without going into too much detail, my grandpa did a lot of crazy stuff. Um, the, they ended up separating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my grandpa was in Okinawa. My grandma was still in the Philippines.
Wow.
And my mom and her siblings kind of got split up. So it was like 2 of her sisters went with this relative, and then 3 of them stayed together. And then these siblings were old enough to go to America by themselves. End result is that my grandfather took off before my youngest aunt was born. I think my grandma was pregnant with her. And my youngest aunt, who is my most favorite aunt, she's like my second mama. Um, she didn't meet my grandfather until she was 16 years old
So your aunt didn't meet her actual father until she was 16 because they separated basically when your grandma was pregnant.
with her, the seventh child.
Dang.
So, story has it, my grandfather came to America, and then the rest of the family came to America, and my grandma was like, "Go find your dad." And they found him. And one thing I do respect about my grandma was, supposedly she had said, no matter what happened, that's still your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically have a relationship with him, um, despite the fact. So,
I'm just sorry. I'm just having the funniest visual of like all your aunts and uncles sitting on like the carpet and your mom's on the couch, like, well, you're all old enough for me to tell you your
yeah.
dad's somewhere in this country. Find him. Like, it just, like
it might, I don't know how it went, but all I know is that my grandfather was found, and, you know,
But that's so crazy. Like in a time when there's no social media, like there's like phone books list a bajillion names of the same
yeah.
person. Like the country's massive, like and it's already industrialized in the U.S. So it's like finding people, and
Mm,
then you guys not even having like the resources, like professional resources to
yeah.
find someone. I was like, wow,
But,
the passion was there.
so granted, my grandfather probably wasn't the best dad. Obviously,
Mm.
he was, I don't know. I can't speak on it. It was different times. But, um, long story short, I'm glad they found my grandfather, because he did, live with us when I was from a baby up until maybe I was like 12 or 13. And I'm a grandpa's girl. Like, I was raised by my grandfather, and he was the best grandfather to me. He wasn't, I wouldn't say he was the most PC kind of guy,
For
but
sure.
like my grandfather taught me how to stand up for myself. Um he gave me somewhat of a childhood. Like he was like, your mom wants you to get this stuff done before she comes home from work, but so get up early so you could play outside for a little while, and then you come inside, you take a nap, and then you clean the house. Like he and he was a joker. My grandfather was a joker, but regardless of that, he was the one for my grandma for a season, and then he wasn't the one because they were separated, and he was doing whatever he was doing and she was doing whatever she was doing.
Right.
But when they reunited the family here in America, my grandma didn't live with where my grandma lived with one aunt, my grandfather lived with us. And it's kind of funny because they nicknamed my grandmother the commander. Like, 'cause she was calling the shots, and that's the way it was gonna go. But my grandfather respected that.
That's honestly classic, like Philippine culture. Like in the Philippines, like the women run the household, and like sorry, like the guys are just kind of an accessory. So like the women run it. But yeah, so it's like, but that's great though, because especially like it's such a different cultural difference. Because was your grandfather like Japanese? Was that why he was in Japan?
No, actually, my grandfather was German and German Filipino, but
Okay.
but he was more German. Like my great grandfather was German. He was like looked like a white man. Like,
Dang, dude.
but he was an Air Force mechanic, and so um, he was kind of in the military, but not really in the military, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so he got stationed, I think, in Okinawa
Okay.
at one point. I could be wrong. Like any relatives that are watching this, I could be wrong. All I know is that there was a point in time where he was in Okinawa. Then he ended up in Alaska somehow. He ended up having a love child, and so like I really actually have like, besides my mom, there's 8 of them, but
Dude,
that we know of.
Family stories are just insane. It was like for example, on my grandmother's side, we were always told the story that when the Great Potato Famine happened in Ireland, like that my great grandmother Elizabeth, who I'm named after, had a baby on the boat while we're like on the way there, and then I started doing research on, I was like, when would this time frame have been, like going on, but just like, and so many decisions of like so many individuals, and like the bloodlines just go really deep, and it's like, dang, dude, and here we are today. Like,
Yeah, I know.
all these, and it's like new family members, and it's like for me, I feel like every Filipino is like, you're my cousin. Somehow, you're my cousin.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of scary, Like
yeah.
you start dating somebody and you're like, wait,
What's your last name?
what's your last name? What part of the Philippines are you from? Like, what part of your
Show me your
from?
family photo.
Yeah.
I'm like, I might know somebody.
It happens way more than you think.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, and plus, like, both sides are very attractive, like, within the community. Like, you're attracted to other people that are like you. But I don't know, it's like, it's the whole, like, purebred concept. Like you know, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
All I know is one is a thing. You're one, and it's most likely, if your season is your entire lifetime, congratulations, more power to you. It's rare. It's rare to find that.
Yeah.
But I think that it's real. And I think that one person, going back to what we originally started talking about, if that's your one, I think one of the like things that you can tell if that's your one is when they start feeling your pains.
That we'll call that one way of measuring it.
Yeah.
One way of measuring it.
Yeah.
For example, I guess the reason I thought about the one concept was because I have my sisters are twins, and so for them in their reality, they have a phrase that goes from womb to tomb, and they think that like they know that they're two separate people, but sometimes they kind of have like this mindset, this feeling that they're one, like one being, like they're connected. And so when you talk about like soulmates, for example, it's like a lot of people will feel that level of like magnetism and like closeness to their spouse. For my sisters, they're twins, and so they feel that about each other. But so it's different, and then at the same time, they have to have, like, they don't have to, but, like, they have relationships outside of it. And so it starts to become, like, this push and pull of, like, magnetisms
I could
But
see why that would happen.
yeah, and so then I think that it's very hard, like, even for them to define, like, when they're dating somebody, like, what is that relationship to them? And then, like, to feel that level of closeness. A lot of us, that if you're not a twin or, you know, if you're not super close with your siblings, you go through life feeling like you are alone until you find that person. And it's like, okay, my other half, as we say. But it's like, what if you're born into this world with your other half? And now you have to add in people into your individual relationships. Like, they have this crazy show, I think it was a show on YouTube, but it's like a twin fair. So it's like about twins dating twins.
I heard about that.
Right? Fascinating
Is it
show.
YouTube or was it like Netflix?
Maybe it was like a Discovery Channel thing, but yeah. So just like they have a bunch of like shows out there, but there's a big festival where all these twins go to. So they'll meet other twins. They'll end up dating each other. So it will be like 2 and 2, and sometimes they'll live in the same house. They'll raise kids together.
That's
and
cool.
then. And it was really interesting because there was this one episode where 2 sisters were arguing about, like, one sister thought, the sister who didn't give birth to the kids was saying, it's okay if they call me mom, they don't know the difference. The other one that gave birth to the kids was like, I have a problem with it.
Yeah,
and so it was
absolutely.
Like, fascinating.
It was absolutely
fascinating.
Before we go on another tangent, because
Yeah.
I know we need to move on, I do want to say that a couple of weeks ago, I might have brought this up to you before one of our like pre-podcast discussions, but I saw this reel on Instagram, and it was this gamer guy was playing this other dude in like a totally different state, and one of the guy's girlfriend was in the background, and the other guy on the other side of the camera, or
His opponent.
his opponent,
Yeah.
right, was like, hey, dude, that's my girlfriend. Like,
Oh.
and he was like, what? And he was all, what is my girlfriend doing with you? She said she was getting her nails done, right? And so the other guy turns around and looks at his girlfriend, and he goes, you just got your nails done. Come here. And so he brings her to, he's like, do you know this guy? And she's like, I never seen that guy in my life. And so he's all, watch. I'm going to call her right now, and her phone's going to ring. And so he calls, and the other guy's girlfriend's phone doesn't ring, but his girlfriend picks up. And he's like, dude, I'm looking at you right now in my opponent's camera. Like, what are you doing there? Did you say you were going to get your nails done? And she goes, I did just get my nails done. And the other girl just got her nails done. Turns out, he goes, were you adopted? And then she was like, yeah. And then they were both from freaking Chico, California, of all places.
Whoa.
They ended up being twins, but like, you know, I get looking alike, you know, like in the face and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but sometimes like your hair's different, your style's different.
Yeah.
They were identical. Like,
Wow.
they've never known each other. They were separated at birth, at an adoption place in Chico, California. And so these guys instantly made friends. And one guy was in like, I don't know if he was in like Arizona, and the other guy was in like Tennessee or it was just states apart.
Yeah, so it's like you couldn't have gone to another state
yeah,
in 30 minutes.
Got your nails done. So they ended, anyways, the guy that had his girlfriend in the background originally, they immediately, while they were talking, booked tickets to go meet this other couple.
Wow.
And now they're like all friends and stuff like that. I thought it was such a cool story.
Super. Okay, another add-on to that before we go into the next subject. But like producer Saley was also showing me that there was a video that's gone viral on TikTok about similar situation where they a mom ended up having 2 twins. One came out like kind of Hispanic looking, the other one came out like a white kid. And the mom and the dad in that moment that she was married to realized like, hey, that this isn't right. These aren't my genes.
Yeah.
And the mom ended up having an affair with her husband at the time. So she ended up leaving each of the kids with the dad and then just took off. And so the kids grew up that whole time, the twins grew up not knowing that they were twins until, I guess they did like some ancestry research or something, and they found out about the mom leaving them, that they ended up finding each other. And so now they like do TikToks and stuff like describing the story, and it's just, I love when twins get reunited. It's a beautiful story because for them too, they must have gone their whole lives always having like some like a like lower awareness of just like I'm missing something, like there's part of me. And then you'll even hear like those stories where there were triplets in the womb, but then, you know, there was a miscarriage or something happened, and then the two kids will grow up always talking about the other kid. Like it's as if it's like an imaginary friend or
Right.
something, and the parents are like, how do you know like your sibling's name? I've never said it to you. So stuff like
Yeah.
that is
There's
like
that
trippy.
connection.
Yeah.
That's that connection. I mean, I think that a lot of siblings have that connection anyway, because like
That's
my
true.
kids are, they're 3 years apart, and it's cute. They call each other womb mates.
Yeah.
And
We shared the same womb.
yeah, yeah, but it's funny because like they're womb mates, but one was renting out the womb before the other one like
Move
it's
in
yeah,
shortly after.
but if you know me and you've seen my kids, they actually like they look like they could be twins. Well,
Yeah.
actually,
No,
now
they-
now that they're a little bit older, not so much, but there was a time and place where like
Yeah, I was looking at their childhood photos, like when they were in school on your refrigerator in your house, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're so beautiful!" Like, look at them. But it's like, you know, like you get older and you get like, you know, a little lumpy.
yeah.
And you're like not as cute anymore. I can relate. We can all relate.
There was a time where like when my son was like that at that growing boy age where he's like 12 or 13 and he's eating like he's taking in a lot of food because they're
Yeah.
growing. Like boys will eat you out of house and home, man. I don't
So,
care what
my,
you say.
My 14-year-old nephew was just visiting us recently, and we
Uh-huh.
just had that experience because so we had both of our nephews with us, and the amount of food they'll eat, like the 14-year-old will give him like he'll eat 2 large bowls of pho, like everything down through the broth and everything. So we end up sitting there for much longer at dinner just for him to finish. But it's like, yeah, just young boys, like
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's just a boy thing.
Crazy.
Like they are. I think it's that because they're growing the most at that point of their life.
Yeah.
And so they just need a lot of fuel. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if your kid is like a stick figure. I don't care if your kid is like a big kid. They all eat
Yeah.
like they're never going to have food tomorrow. It's crazy to me. Like my dad said the same thing about my brother when we were growing up. And I experienced that because me and my brother are 8 years apart. And so I'm a lot older than my brother. And when I had my daughter, I lived in a like a studio apartment under like downstairs from my parents' house. And so we'd go to Costco to buy like the double milk, like
Nice.
the box with the
Nice.
double milk, you know, for my kid, for Joss.
Yeah.
And so, ooh, I should have said that. My brother would like eat cookies and drink milk. Like my brother used to drink so much milk.
Yeah.
And I'd be so upset because like I bought this milk for my kid,
Aw.
and within a day, my brother just like consumed a gallon and a half with a bunch of like Oreos crushed in a damn glass.
That sounds like something I would do, but also like that sounds like a rough day in my life. You find me there, but no, but I can really relate to that. Like it's kind of interesting this shift with milk too, just like super quick. Because like my dad, I remember that I would have the same issue. Like I wouldn't have enough milk for my cereal because I would wake up at like 5 a.m. and I would like open my bedroom door and he would be in the kitchen just with the door open drinking from the carton of milk, right? Like the whole thing with milk would just be like slammed, like, but he would rather drink milk than water. Or when you went to school, like going to elementary school for me, like they didn't give you a water bottle, they gave you a carton of milk.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, like how like milk has just become this.
Milk is going to be a totally different like subject on another podcast because we didn't really think about that, but man, we can get into milk and how I got older and couldn't drink regular milk, and now I'm on almond, oat milk, coconut milk, everything else
the
but
change
milk.
in allergy stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean that goes down. That could become like a conspiracy on like hormones if we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But not what we're talking about today. But so yeah, so taking care of your kids, you had to provide a lot of milk. Boys grow fast. They really grow fast.
Really, really fast.
Yeah, I mean, but like also just having kids is expensive too. Like I was seeing that like in order for our generation, like the millennial generation or Gen Z to start having kids, it's much more of a priority for us to feel financially stable versus like back then, I was like, you didn't really care. Like you'd be financially fine. Like there was wiggle room. Maybe like the job market was a little bit better. But now I think that, when you're being told that, hey, having a child every year is going to cost you $30,000, you're like, what? And then it goes up when they want to go to prom, when they want to go to college. I mean, and you don't have to like necessarily financially support your kid after 18, but just like the legal part of supporting them to 18, I was like, that's $30,000 a year that you really have to like factor into your life and your budgeting. So I don't know. I do feel for like the carton of milk thing because like that constant feeling for parents of like I need to provide for my kids is like
Yeah.
ever looming.
You know, I think about my personal experience, and I mean, I was young too, but I never really thought about like anything when it came to I probably should have, but worked out for me. I think that sometimes if we put too much thought into something before we do it, we psych ourselves out. One thing as a mom that I realized is when you sometimes that okay, this is a cliche motto.
Mm-hmm.
You know that motto, sometimes that's the cards you're dealt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to play it. Play the best hand from the card you're dealt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes you have a kid and it's not a planned thing,
Mm-hmm.
but you go with it, and all of a sudden your kid's 30 years old, and you're like, how did it flew by so quick? I think that we as human beings have that ability to adjust to anything.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
Best example is 4 years ago, the whole world shut down. And 4 years ago, here we are today doing a podcast. Nobody knew that the shutdown 4 years ago during the COVID times was going to happen. We all adjusted to it as we were handling the cards that got dealt to us. Everybody had a shitty hand, by the way. It's like,
Yeah.
but like if you had a pair of twos, you were going to play that pair of twos like it was like four aces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at that point we were in survival mode. We were all scared. We didn't know what the hell was happening. I don't think anybody ever thought of something that was going to shut down, not just your local area or your work or school, the world.
Yeah.
The world shut down. We adapted, and here we are 4 years, 4 years later doing this podcast. Going back to having a kid, like I think a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of friends, and I'm very like, I get it. There's some friends that I have that are like, I don't want to ever have kids.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. Like, to me, I'm like, more power to you. You know what you want. I also have friends, or I wouldn't say friends, but I also know people that I remember, like, they were like, we're never going to have kids. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then, like, we're like 10 years from down the line, and now they're like on their second kid. Because we're allowed to change our mind. We grow into different people all the time. And so like your view that like, I know for me, for a fact, like my views from even 3 years ago are not the same views I have today because of the experience that I've had in between then and now. It makes you think a little bit more. It makes you like really digest. Why would I even say that? Well, at that time, this is what I was going through or made me say that. But now I'm not in that headspace anymore. So it's okay to change your mind. You shouldn't feel guilty, and you shouldn't be tied down to the decisions you made at a certain time when you were going through a certain thing. I'm almost losing my train of thought here, but like.
Oh, me too. I was like, where?
The thing about like people saying like, we brought this up because you said, economically it's harder,
yes, thank you.
To have kids and stuff like that. Now you like, because look, man, everything's expensive. Have you seen the gas? Like, and gas is okay right now compared to, it's still high to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first started driving and gas was like $1.75. Like, I know I'm old, but
yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a changing world, and so it's just like the way that we're making decisions is changing too. And I don't necessarily know if there's a right reason to like there's always like an underlying philosophy of like, oh, people that do want to have kids versus don't want to have kids. People that do want to have kids, there's probably a reason, right, like underlying there. So they either want to because they love their partner so much that they want to like advance that love.
Yeah, and they don't want to share the time, right?
Yeah, there's people who are like, I want to live through you, so I'm going to have like a little me, and so there's kind of like that a little bit of like that vanity to it. Or there's I don't know, there's so many different like reasons for people who want to have kids or to not want
Yeah.
to have kids. And I guess that it's like I guess for me, like what really like locked it in for me was there's a Jordan Peterson quote. I can't quote it perfectly, but basically just he was saying that having kids is like the next level of your maturity as a human being. Like it's like the next stage of your development. And while I think that you can still have like some parental experience, like whether it's through having animals, just caring about other people and other things, like people have their own priorities. And I do like that about today's society is we've opened that door for like you don't have to have kids if you just want to focus on your life and what you want to do. It's more than okay. And
Yeah.
the diversity of life paths is like comforting. Like you can really do anything, but I think at the same time, so many choices of like, it's okay to do any of these life options. It's almost like I think that adds to some of the depression, anxiety too, because now it's this choice overload of like I can do all these things.
Yeah.
This is totally okay, but now it's like I don't know what I want to do. So
Yeah. I understand where that comes from.
but to what you were saying, like you can just want to do something, want anything, and then just try it. And then if you want to change your mind, it's totally okay to, because nobody's looking, nobody cares. It's your life path anyways.
Right. I wouldn't suggest changing your mind after you had the kid, though. If you brought
No,
the kid into
too
this
late,
world,
too late.
you better stick to your
No
guns.
U-turns.
I used to tell my kids this a lot when they were little, and it's our podcast. We can say whatever we want. So
Yeah.
I used to tell my kids this, and I used to always say, there's enough assholes in this world already, and I'll be damned if I'm bringing two more into this world, so you better straighten up.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with, like, I do see that there's some people that really, maybe they shouldn't have had kids, and that's my opinion. But let's be real. We all probably know somebody or of somebody that probably shouldn't have had that kid. You know what I mean? So like, or that kid would have been better off, like,
Yeah, better off with someone that
wanted them. Yeah. And that could go into a whole nother category, but we could transition on.
Oh yeah, we could transition on, but I just to close it off, like $30,000 is like a minimum requirement for how much it is to raise a kid in America by statistics. The better quality of life you want to give your kid, the more expensive it'll be, and it's your life. You make your choices.
Make
not
your
just,
choices, but know
Be
this.
happy.
But know this. Don't put that extra stress on you. I mean, you should have that thought. We all think we're going to do something until we're in it. And, when you're in the situation, especially for me having kids, you're going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's going to work out if you want it to. And that's all I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and I think that just whatever you're pursuing, just have confidence in yourself that you can take it.
Yeah.
We're adaptable. You are strong. And I guess let's move on to the next thing. I think that what I've been trying to practice lately is doing like the self-affirmations, right? There's like, you can say all types of self-affirmations like, I'm beautiful, I'm so talented. Well, first of all, I don't think that like if you're talented in anything, it means you were born with it and you have no right to be proud of it. But if you put your time and like work into something, you have every right to be proud of it. What I've been trying to do recently is create a list of like throughout my life, what are things that I'm proud of? And sometimes as an adult, you can list, sometimes when you tell yourself like, oh, I used to be this when I was in high school or elementary school, it kind of shuts you down mentally to say, I used to be something. Like I've lost a part of myself. But then it's almost like you have to allow yourself to recognize like, no, here's your childhood accomplishments, right? Like, I graduated high school. I played on the soccer team. I was like, okay, great. You're not in school anymore. You're not on the soccer team. Don't feel like that was the peak of your life because you gave up that time to now do what? Okay, I broke the salary goal of $50,000 that I wanted to make. I went to college. I didn't graduate, but like you can go through like that life step, and I think that is affirming because it helps you reframe what have you done with your life. So for people that are feeling a little bit down on themselves, whether it's through self-esteem or just feeling like there hasn't been a lot of capacity to succeed or to achieve things in your life lately just because the economy or the job market or whatever's going on, just try writing through a list of like a mental exercise. Write through a list of the things you accomplished as a child, things you've accomplished as an adult, and then just let yourself reframe what your strengths were, like what have you done, and like
it's a good way to kind of Monitor your progress in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think it's just natural for us as human beings to like look at what we've been through in life and be like, what I used to do this and now I don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But writing down your accomplishments makes it a little bit more of an optimistic view than a pessimistic view of things. Also, I will say that most people get to a point in their life where they like I've been choosing to understand who I was at the time. I'm still who I am now,
Yeah.
but I went through it's like growth stages, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I used to be this person when I was 15, and now I'm this person at 20, and then I was this person at 26, and then here I am today, and I am no longer like any of those people in the past, but being those people in the past grew me into who I am today.
Yeah.
Because it's better understanding. So, we're in the era of healing, and what that's what I do love is that healing is like, call it a fad, call it a trend. I don't care. Healing is brought to the forefront right now for a lot of people. And a lot of people, that's like if you go on Instagram Reels,
Yeah. A lot of healing.
and depending on your algorithm, but like if you accidentally hit a, oh, I like this motivational quote, it like stuck with me, your
Yeah.
algorithm is going to get a whole, like, people don't even,
Affirmation, manifestation,
yeah,
like
yeah.
if you touch it.
It's like you don't even need to buy a therapist anymore. Just go on Instagram and like, like go on
Yeah.
Reels. But you'll see that like that's a thing. There's a lot of like healing quotes, and it's okay to talk about like everybody's talking about healing from childhood trauma and generational trauma, and
I think a lot of it stemmed from 2020, like just being
yeah,
stuck in
absolutely,
you're
the
stuck in
COVID
your
thing.
house, like, and that's why like BetterHelp became such a prominent thing. Just people initially dealing with that anxiety of like I can't sit with myself, like this
Hmm.
doesn't feel comfortable, I don't know where I'm going. And then like now that we're out of it, right, we're a little bit more normalized. We're going back to work, like we're still back into the full busyness of life. Yeah, that there's still that like that feeling of like I'm not okay and I want to feel okay. And I'm glad that if there was any benefit out of that entire pandemic, that people are more willing to get help because they don't want to, they're more aware of how they felt because there was nothing to distract them,
Yeah,
nowhere to
you
go, nothing to see,
nothing
do.
nothing to
Yeah.
do. You personally, and this might bring us into a different tangent. I for the longest time, and sometimes I still am. I can openly admit and be transparent that I was afraid to sit in a room by myself for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think for me personally, like I'm my own worst critic. I'm my biggest enemy, and I have this thing in my head. Like sometimes when I sit by myself, I think too much, and it scares me. Um, Not so much anymore. I'm okay with, as a matter of fact, I actually like sitting by myself for some periods of time. My husband used to say, "You can never be alone." My husband can be alone all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't bother him to be like, he's an only child, so, or he grew up as an only child, so like he had his friends and stuff like that, but it was him and his mom. He didn't have any siblings. He was just, he's used to
Dude,
being by himself.
it just reminds me of that moment in Meet the Fockers where he's like, he's self-soothing, and I was
Yeah.
like, and now I'm really thinking that like I was self-soothed by like, but okay, so like for I can relate to that because I don't really get bothered by loneliness. I prefer to be alone. I know a
Hmm.
lot of people don't like that, and I think it just also depends on like what your upbringing was. Like, so for a lot of people that come from Asian households where there's multiple generations
Yeah.
living under one roof, you would go to sleep, you would wake up, there's always
There's always
noise,
somebody.
always moving around, especially when then you go from a family house to another family house,
Yeah.
like with your own family, you're still used to wanting that same level of noise, and so once it's totally silent, it is a little bit startling.
It's crazy. Like, I thought about this, and I've never been alone. Like, I grew up. I didn't have my siblings were born. So my sister was born when I was like 4.5 or 5. So I've always had like a brother, a sister, and then my little brother came around, and then my mom, like I mentioned earlier, my mom is one of like 7 or 8 kids. If you
My
want to,
mom is one of 9.
my dad is one of 13.
I don't have.
You want to play that?
I don't know. I don't know the rest.
Yeah,
But that's crazy.
but just saying that alone,
You got a
just
fertile family.
yeah. You can see that, like, I've never been alone. I don't have a chance to be alone,
Yeah.
like, and so, and then like I've always had my cousins around. Like when I was a kid, my first best friends were my cousins, and so we were always transferring off to like cousins' houses, and I have a bunch of aunts and uncles. Like I've just never really been alone. And so I had my kids early, then I had my kids. And last podcast we talked about empty nesting, and so like the reason why I had such a hard transition is because I've never been alone. Like it's plain black and white. I've never been alone. So learning to be alone with yourself is something that I had to teach myself, and it was very uncomfortable. But I'm really glad now. Like there's times where now I'm just like, I'm gonna be in my room. I'm there if you need me, but don't need me.
Yeah.
It's like,
Have you ever tried one of those the salt deprivation chambers? Have you ever tried one?
yes, I went with my daughter not that long ago.
Did you trip?
No, I did not. I felt kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of weird. It was like we were in this like salt chamber.
I was in like a big egg.
Oh no,
I was in
we
the
were in a
room.
room like sitting on lawn chairs, and it was
Oh.
salt all around us, and they're
Oh,
like,
that's a little diffy.
yeah, it's
Mine was like body temperature water with like a high salt in it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
for the
you're
float.
talking about the float.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been on
Yes.
that. I've been in that too.
Okay.
It was like an egg. Like
Yeah, comforting.
and mine's like when it closed, like there were all these little sparkly lights on the top of it.
Yeah, and you could turn on music and
Yeah,
stuff.
and
like,
you're
it
and
was
you're literally
sensory
just floating
deprivation.
around, and like then all of a sudden you don't know what time it is, and you're like
Yeah.
like I mean,
Yes. Yes. It's like you're like falling asleep, but you're not, and
Yeah.
it really was like an interesting like meditation experience, talking about like being alone.
Yeah.
Just sit if you get an experience, because Peyton Manning has one of these in his houses. If that doesn't interest you at all,
Wow.
so
Peyton.
I know.
Where do you get these facts from? I don't get it. Like, yeah,
I don't know where I found this, but he does have one, and like. Anyways, I think I saw it on like a commercial too. I was like, I know what that is. Like, but so what essentially happens is like your ears underwater, you're floating in it, and it's a completely dark room. The water is supposed to feel exactly like your body temperature, so you can't tell the difference. It's really supposed to give this you're in the womb feeling. And so they kind of let you know when you're first going in, like through a little video presentation, that there's a likelihood that you might experience like hallucinations or feel like transcendental visions or something like that. And I was kind of like, okay, like that's whatever. When I first went in, like that's crazy. So I did have some like kind of crazy thing, and it was basically like as if I was opening my eyes to like a dark version of me, like a little Diablo. And then and so then like me and like this other self start fighting, like we're trying to like strangle each other. And then it comes to a point of like, well, why are we fighting? Like we're the same person. And so then it was kind of like this concept of like, getting down with your demons. Like you are your good, you are your bad. And so I think from that I was very much more like self-accepting. But again, I could have just been like losing my lid. I could have just been a daydream. It could have been like, it could be nothing.
God, I'm gonna have to go back and try it. So if any float places want to sponsor us,
Yo.
that'd be cool. Like and comment on our podcast.
That would actually be a really fun experience, like doing a video inside of like the deprivation
with like a
chamber.
GoPro.
With like
yeah, I don't want anybody seeing
night
what
vision. No.
Like I don't know about you, but did you get in there butt naked? Because
I think I wore a bikini.
Yeah,
I think I wore.
You have a
bikini.
choice, man. I'm just gonna say this. I wasn't comfortable being in there butt naked. This shouldn't matter.
Yeah,
you're in there. Like the one I went to had like a little shower room. Like you get out and there's a little shower room there.
Yeah, yes. But I think for me, the reason why I didn't go in totally naked was my greatest fear was that they would forget that I was in that room, open the door, someone opens the egg, and I was like, oh. So So that was why I didn't get it naked. But I'm glad you that's a mutual feeling.
Yeah, no GoPro in there when you're book
Yeah,
naked. I don't
no,
want to
no,
see
no,
none
no.
of that. Like maybe somebody else might, but not me.
No.
But you had the experience, you know, and maybe because my so everybody's brain works differently. Like I have a hard time settling with my with I have a hard time settling when I'm in a place that I don't know. Um, Granted, I think it's kind of funny because I got a facial last week and um, my friend was in the same room with me and we were both getting facials and I fell asleep in there and started snoring and woke myself up. That did not, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But when I was in the little floaty thing, I couldn't, you know, you only have like an hour, I think. Like it depends on how much you pay for, but I couldn't like stop thinking about, oh, I'm floating. Oh, I hear the water. Wait, somebody coming in? Like these are the things that are going on in my head. I didn't start relaxing until maybe 15 minutes before I was done. Um, I need to work on that, man. Like I waste a lot of money, so I would like to now. And that was like years ago. I kind of think that maybe it'd be cool if I went into a place like that. You know, I have some days off coming up this week that were not planned, and I was kind of like, what am I going to do besides stay in bed? I might do that. I might do that and report back for the next podcast.
Dude, that sounds nice. I can't get through like any spa experience without laughing my ass off and disrupting the experience for everyone else. Like, you know those Chinese China or just the Asian massage places, massage parlors. So it's always so funny to me because like I'll always do like a couple massage and I fall asleep, she falls asleep, but I'll wake up to like someone going like like you know, because you like someone's getting a massage and they're like they really like the massage and so they start getting really loud and grunting, like it sounds like it's like a pig farm a couple like you know rows over, and so I'm always like I'm trying to hold my laughing because I'm just like damn, like you get it.
I used to be really weird about people touching me, and a few years ago a friend of mine moved to the Bay Area and, you know, it was a stressful time, you know, and I would go back every month to like, you know, visit my friends. And so one of my friends was like, you guys been through a lot because we kept moving. We're doing like a lot of heavy lifting, stressful, you know, but, you know, it was this 3 of us women just moving stuff all over the place, you know, so like one of them was like, hey, you guys, I scheduled you guys a Thai massage.
Aww.
You know, just go in there. It's already taken care of.
That's so
and
nice.
So I had never I had done a massage before. Granted, I was really uncomfortable, and so that kind of just defeated the purpose because I just don't like when people touch me when I don't know them. So
it just becomes painful because you're tense and then like, they're trying to like work the tension out.
Basically, like
you're just hurting yourself.
I had one but didn't because it didn't count. So
it's like it got worse.
This time and let me tell you that in the Bay Area, I know of a few inexpensive places here in Vegas, but in the Bay Area it was not inexpensive. It was it's a lot of money. So we go to this Thai massage place, and it was the first time that I experienced like actually relaxing and taking in the massage. By no means was it painful.
Good.
But I could see how it could be. I also have a very high pain tolerance just because of all the things that I do. Like, you know, you kind of like get used to certain levels of pain that are not counted as pain. Like, if somebody punched me in the stomach, that wouldn't be painful to me, but like, it would be painful to somebody else because I'm used to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I go into this Thai massage place. And in the Bay Area, it was not so bad, right? You know, they asked me if I ever had one. I said yes, but they asked me if I had a high pain tolerance, and I said yes. By no means, I was in that state where I was saying that, like, I kind of have a hard time relaxing because my mind goes everywhere, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you think she's doing right now? You know, like, because you have your face down in this massage chair.
And you hear her walking around, you touching things.
Yeah, touching things and stuff. That's how I felt at the facial last week. But fast forward, now Thai massage is um, a very normal thing for me to do, especially because I'm so active. Also, my Thai coach, his wife works at this certain Thai massage place. And although I've never had a massage with her, I've made friends with her best friend. And so she's my masseuse. And
Wow. I mean, to go from like massage therapist to masseuse seems like
well, let's just put it this way. So my friend, I can say friend because like, and massage therapist is a good term to use because we talk about life.
masseuse.
So this lady, if you've never had a Thai massage before,
They're painful.
they're not fun, to be quite honest. But I'm also, again, I have a high pain tolerance, and you've got this oftentimes smaller Thai lady. They don't have to be, but it's a Thai massage, usually a Thai lady.
They're usually like just barely pushing 5 foot or under.
Yeah, they're usually pretty light.
And this is from our personal experience.
Yeah,
like, in the locations, this is not supposed to be racially based at all. This is just who the people who end up working and doing like this type of work.
Right.
Because of their size, it works for them.
It works. So my friend, I like her because she's like hard or medium today, because she knows I'm not paying that much money for you to like tap on my shoulder. So
for me, I go in, I'm like, can I get the softest one? For real.
So, you're laying on this table and then they have these bars over the bed,
Wait, no.
Yes.
What?
So
what? It sounds like you're in a hospital bed. What?
You're in this massage bed. There's a little hole for you to stick your face in, but the bed is pretty flat. You're under these sheets. You could be naked if you want to, or you could have your undergarments on. But so it starts off with, for me, my lady likes to do it a certain, like, I'm just so used to the way she does it. But like, it starts off with, first she starts massaging my head and my neck, she gets a little bit in the shoulders. She's not yet on the bed. There's like these bars that come over the bed, and she eventually gets up on top of the bed and starts stepping all over me. Mm-hmm. And she's holding these bars for support.
Oh, they're for her.
They're for her.
The whole time I thought it was like cause it's a grip in pain. Yeah. Like,
they probably should put that on.
Be like four massage.
But like, she's like, they're trained to like apply pressure in certain parts of your body without breaking your back and kneecaps and all kinds of stuff. And then she stretches me out. And it's just kind of like funny because like it's so painful, but yet once you get past the pain part, you get this like feeling like you're high afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And usually, and this place has a really good price for like an hour massage.
Nice.
But the reason why I brought this up is because in the very beginning, just like in the little salt capsule thing that we were talking about, I used to like lay in there and I'd be like, I wonder what she's doing, Because at this specific Thai place, not only do they like do the like whole stepping, and I don't know if other Thai massage, I'm very loyal. When I like a place, I'm gonna go there all the time. This specific Thai place also does like the hot stones. They put it on your back like after she does after she brutally like
needs you like a pizza dough.
And so it's in the beginning I couldn't really relax because I was always like, I wonder what she's doing. Oh, okay, now she's putting the oil on my back. Okay, now I know that the hot stones are coming soon. And then, I started to get used to the routine because at one point I was going every 2 weeks. And because I loved it so much. I got used to the initial pain of it, but then I was chasing that like euphoric after massage feeling.
Yeah.
So the last time that I went, and I usually go with like, I'll either go by myself or I'll ask my friend, hey, you want to go get massaged? Right? So we go. We have our regular people that we want, because I like to be with my lady because like I know her. I can totally relax, be comfortable. Um, the last couple of times she was like booked. And
Dang.
so I had to go with somebody else. And I noticed everybody's style is different, right?
Yeah.
Like she was in there, but she wasn't doing what my regular lady does.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, we go to this massage, and afterwards, me and my friend were sick for a whole entire week. We always, they tell you in the beginning, before any kind of massage, but specifically a Thai massage, that there's a good possibility you're going to get sick because when they're kneading out all those knots you have in your back, like a lot of the toxins that are flowing through your body get stopped
Yeah.
because of these knots that you have in your muscles and stuff like that. And so the lady that I had, which was not my normal lady, obviously got some pretty, like, it had been a while too since I had a Thai massage from the last time to that time. And I'm pretty sure I was going through a lot of mental, physical, emotional stress during that time. But we got super sick. And now, like, I want a massage so bad, but I'm scared to go back because I don't want to get that kind of sick again.
Well, it's your fault. You were carrying all that toxic in the first place.
It's true, but
it's your
like
fault.
now I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. Like, do I just go and if I get sick, get over it and then just continue to go? Or do I just like sit here and be scared? Like,
I mean, maybe it wasn't even the toxic. Maybe it was because someone's dirty face was in the massage bed before too. You never know.
This place was
an
really,
idea.
this place is I like this place. It's really clean, man. Like it's really, really clean. And that's another thing. I'm kind of like a germaphobe. It's weird because you would think I'm not, because gyms are super dirty. Gyms are super dirty. I don't care how much you clean it. But like I'm kind of grossed out by a lot of things, and I like this place because they're super clean.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've never thought about that. That could be
it most likely is the toxins, but it's just like it was like just throwing out a variety of like what
No,
ifs.
actually, I'm glad you threw that out there because now maybe I'll like go back and be like, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was
someone just
somebody
forgot a towel or like
I don't know, but like it's a personal dilemma I'm going through right now, and so
yeah, I still think that it would be worth it though, because overall for your health, like, because yeah, it's gonna hurt, like yeah, you might get a little sick, but that's why they give you the water afterwards.
Yeah.
Like you finish the massage, like there's a lot of like aftercare stuff you can do to avoid it, and so maybe just like doing some extra preparation for yourself of like, all right, I'm going into this, how can I minimize the chances of me getting sick? And
I'm definitely gonna do
and
that
just like try to decompress, like remove your mental toxicity before you go in, so it's just your physical toxicity to remove.
Boy, I'm a toxic person too.
But I do have a question though. When you're going in for your massage, do you take off your bra? Because I feel like you can get by with wearing your panties, like your bottoms, but wearing a top bra when you're in a massage, I feel like it always gets in the way, and then it's kind of like a speed bump when they're trying to do the shoulders.
Which again, I'm really weird about taking my I'm more part of those girls that like can walk around naked and be like, "What? We all got the same stuff." Like that's great.
Facts. I hope I have that confidence in my 60s.
I admire people like that. I've just always not been okay with. I'm very like self-conscious about my body, to the point where sometimes it's not good. But I also like feel comfortable with this lady, so I do take my bra off.
Okay, cool. Yeah. See, like I do too. I probably feel less comfortable about it if I have like a male massage therapist, but at the same time it's kind of like it's like they're professionals, it shouldn't make a difference.
I can't.
And plus but guys, it's like you're wasting your strength on me. I don't need strength. I just need somebody to just gently
See, that's the difference between me and you. You ain't paying for a Thai massage for somebody to go gentle on you, okay?
What's up?
Oh, talk about what happened with Sonny and Mikey when we took him to get a massage done.
I don't remember what happened. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we had a couple of friends visit. This was a couple months ago, I think, maybe even last year. I don't remember when. But when our friends visited, we took them to a massage place in Las Vegas because we have so many here. We wanted to show them, like, this is part of the Vegas experience. Yeah. And we go in. They did not have, like, any women working that day, so it was mostly just men. And the men that were giving them the massage, they told us afterwards, they were like, did anybody else get teabagged? Like, while they were, like, pushing their backs down, right? And the whole time, it's like their balls are just...
And this is why I prefer not to have male
Yes! That's the only reason why, is because, like, you know you're going to be touching each other, but it's like, that is a contact point you would prefer not to have made.
Yeah.
But they said that it was so great that it was worth it.
They said-
I mind always. I
So
don't want your balls in my face. Like, I just,
if you
no.
didn't-
Back of their head, coach.
Nah, it's cool. That's even worse. Like,
if you
you're like,
didn't-
oh, they're using like a different kind of massage technique, and it's like guys' balls on your neck. Like, no, dude. Like,
Yeah, so what our friends had said that it was worth it, if you didn't hear producer Saley, but yeah, worth it.
yeah, again, it's my preference. I don't feel comfortable with a male. I don't feel comfortable with anyone touching me, let alone a male. Like, but yeah, I would not. It's the same. I'm like that with a lot of things. And like therapists, I want a female.
Yeah.
Massage therapist, I want a female.
Lady doctor,
Yeah.
preferably female. I did have...
Lady doctor, especially lady doctor.
I had
want
a
female.
male, so my first lady doctor was a male, and it was so shockingly modern how embracive he was, because, like, this is my first time going in. I did have to tell him, like, yeah, I'm gay, like, XYZ, I'm a different case than majority of the women here, and, so he started giving me all these suggestions, and he was like, I don't need to know, but if you are, I would recommend you use olive oil, and I was like, what?
You know what? You want to hear something really uncomfortable that you bring this up? My OBGYN gynecologist, when I was pregnant with my, I think it was my son. It might have been my son, not my daughter.
Okay.
Was my dad's uncle. He was a man. He was older, so he ended up passing away like before the baby was even born. But his sister, my dad's aunt, she was also a gynecologist, and so after he passed away, like she took me, and so she birthed my son. Like she helped me. She helped deliver my son. So, but in the beginning, like, first of all, I thought it was strange. Like, it was weird. He's a man. And he's like, yeah, you're doing fine. Your uterus is healthy. The baby's good. And then I'm just kind of like, gross. Like, you're a man and ill. Like, my dad's uncle is like, I know what her junk looks like. You know, like,
yeah.
It's like, no.
You know what's actually messed up, though, is, like, so the lady doctor that birthed me with my mom ended up becoming, accidentally, my adult doctor years later, and she had her own practice now. But I was like, but that's so crazy to be the woman that's like, I gave birth to you, welcome to the world, to now, like, oh, I have to, like, give you an STD test. Like, it's like, what did you do? You know, like,
let's not even go that went on. That could go on a.
I know it could go so many different ways, but it's just funny, like, those close ties, like, whether, like, just through that birthing process, it feels really nice in a way that these things are connected, but also, like, weird. It's
weird. I will say this, though. When I started going to my dad's aunt, because my dad's uncle passed away in that time frame, man, she took good care of me. My son, I went into labor on Labor Day, and so the hospitals, like, a lot of people were like, staff was very low, which is weird, because it shouldn't be that way. But anyway, it was a Monday. It was Labor Day, and I remember I was like having the labor pains at 4 a.m, and I rolled around and told my husband, I'm like, I think it's time. I was so calm, though. Like,
yeah.
He was like, okay. I called my aunt. She lived about an hour away from where the hospital was. The hospital was in San Francisco, and she lived in San Jose. So anybody who knows the Bay Area knows that that's like 45 minutes to
hop, skip, jump.
Like an hour, yeah, out. And so she said, just go to she goes, how many minutes apart are your, like, contractions? And she goes, yeah, go to the hospital. So I didn't know, like, she's obviously family. So she called the hospital staff to get ready for me to get there.
Nice.
And she, like, reserved, like, a very private and nicer room than a normal like delivery room, I guess you can say. Meanwhile, my husband and I'm like, I don't even know why I started reading that book, What to Expect When Expecting, because I already had my
Yeah.
first child. But I guess this time around I was like, oh, let me see, something to read. So I remember getting in the car at 4 o'clock in the morning and getting in the car, reading this book. My husband's like, I'm kind of hungry. I know we're going to be there for a while. I was like, that's cool. Go through the Burger King drive-through. And the Burger King drive-through wasn't even open yet. Like, so I was like, it's going to open in 15 minutes. We can wait. Like, that's how calm we were, like, during this whole time. And then I finally, he gets his little breakfast. I knew not to eat. Like, because I wasn't sure if they were going to, like, put me on some, like, drug, like epidural,
Yeah.
like, whatever. So when I get to the hospital, legitimate, like, there was this whole, like, staff of, like, 7 people waiting for me. And they were like, your auntie called us. Where were you? Like, we're ready for you. And so, like, they bring me to this one room. And, gosh, so much things happened. But I remember everything.
But that it's cool. It's useful to have like someone that's a doctor, especially in the family. Like it's so rare. But that's amazing though that they got to be a part of that. You got to have like such a safe and like
It was very
confident
safe.
experience through
Yeah.
all of it. Like you really were like so stress free. Probably until you were like in severe pain. But like before then, that's great because it's like they say like the condition of like the woman when she's pregnant, like all those hormones rushing in through her when all of that's happening, it transfers to the baby. Like they're feeling all of that too, and so. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how my son is now and what what that experience relates to, and I'm like, maybe I was going through a lot of crazy stuff because my son is wild sometimes.
Yeah, he's a very energetic person, but he's also so mellow at the same time.
Yeah, you're right.
He's like I know you used to describe him like as an ADHD kid running around the gym, which sounds usual for young kids, but now it's like as an adult, it's like he is so mellow, like
My
just
son
really cool.
Yeah. Well,
Cool
my kids
dude.
are my favorite people, but my son is definitely like, sometimes he's just
He
chill.
is very wild
And
too.
then sometimes he just says some like out of pocket shit. And it's like, since he was a kid, he just says the most funniest stuff.
He is fucking funny.
He's just got this character about him that is so unique. And like, I freaking have so much fun hanging out with him because like, the things he says, like he's always just been one of those observant kids that like just says what's on his mind, but he never comes from a like, oh, not, I won't say never, but it's always like when he was a kid, it always would come from pure innocence. And it's like, can I say an example here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one time when he was a kid, he was like a preteen, maybe like 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade.
I'm sorry to your son if this is already an embarrassing story in the mix.
Sorry. But we were in the car. At that time, like the kids were kind of going to like a Bible study class and stuff like that. We're driving, and I think maybe this is where I'm taking this. I think in his mind he was thinking about like a Bible story that they must have talked about during Bible study, and it was like a story about like Jesus like putting mud on a blind guy's eyes and then he could see.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's ever heard that story, but it's a Bible story, right? And my son just blurted out from the back of the car. He was like, I don't know, but like, just Jesus like spit on this guy's eye and put some mud on it and then he could see. And he goes, now, if I was that guy, I don't know Jesus. Like, I'm throwing some hands if somebody spits in my eyes. And it was a valid thing, but the fact that he was thinking about it, I laughed so hard. I had to pull over. Like, it was so funny to me because, like, these are the kinds of things that, like, pop up in his brain. And he's so fascinating. So, son, I love you so much if you're watching. Sorry if I embarrassed you.
No, I'm sure that he's like, yeah, that does sound like me. He's like very on character. Okay, so I did want to like switch the subject to like body confidence as you age really quickly. Do you think that at like 70 years old you would be found on a nude beach? Would you ever go to a nude beach if you were 70? Like, does it have to be seniors only for you to be interested in being on a nude beach at 70?
I'm going to tell you guys a secret, audience. I'm working on trying to be the most confident and healthy person I can be mentally and physically. That by the time I'm 70 years old, if I'm reaching my goal or anywhere close to it, hell yeah, I'm gonna be on Nude Beach.
Okay,
70.
cool. Isn't it kind of weird though that we're like, when we're old, it's okay to be nude on
Because
the
when
beach?
you're old, it's like you've seen everything, my worst, my best.
And there's like no
Okay.
sexual energy left either.
I don't know.
I don't know. There is some
I'm
sort of
hoping. I'm
community.
hoping in my healing process, somewhere along the line, I'll be like that 70-year-old. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, just go out with a bang. But I just had to ask.
I'm going out with a bang, y'all. That's truth.
So on that note of just elderly and just the different energy levels you have, didn't you have a story to share?
I have a funny story. During work, we were having this like status meeting, daily status meeting. And I don't know, sometimes we just go off tangent and just talk about like stupid things that happen. And this coworker asked me, have I ever watched that movie, Devil Wears Prada? And I was like, oh yeah, the one with Meryl Streep. Yeah, I've watched it a long time ago. I mean, it was so long ago that I don't even remember the damn movie.
It was
but-
so long ago I forgot Meryl Streep was in that movie.
So obviously it's an older movie. So back then people were still DVRing stuff.
Yeah.
And she had mentioned that like she wanted her mom to come over and watch Devil Wears Prada. And so she decided she was going to DVR this movie and call her mom to come over to her apartment and watch Devil Wears Prada. I guess that's their thing, as they watch movies together.
Cute.
So she said that her mom got settled. She turns off all the lights. She turns on the DVR as she goes to the bathroom or something. And at first she said, when I was walking out from the living room, I noticed that the screen was all like weird red and kind of like, I don't know, it looked like hell. It was like red and just really weird ambiance. And I was like, wow, I didn't remember that part of the movie. And she's like, maybe it's like a preview to another movie before the movie, right? And so she goes into the bathroom and she said she could hear in the background like this weird noises and stuff. And she was just kind of like, because she had already watched the movie like multiple times, and that's why she wanted her mom to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's in this, in the bathroom, and then all of a sudden her mom's all like, seriously, she's like, I don't think this is the movie, like from the living room. And so she said she walked into the living room. Her mom is a little bit like, she's elderly, like, I wouldn't say like super duper old, but she's obviously older.
Mm-hmm.
And the mom's like, yeah, like seriously, she's like, yeah, I don't think this is what you wanted me to watch. I don't know what this is. And she said she comes out of the bathroom and goes into the living room, and it was like a orgy going on the screen.
God.
Like these people were just like going at it, and her poor mom is sitting there like, I don't think this is what you wanted. Turns out
Mom, I want you to watch this movie.
she DVR'd this movie called Devil Wears Nada, not Devil Wears Parada. And so we were dying laughing. And
Oh
then,
my
of course,
God.
I had to like hit with why would you even have a channel that had Devil Wears Nada, ma'am? So,
Yeah.
but
heck
yeah,
of a movie to
we were
confuse.
cracking up. Like, I was crying laughing about this thing. But can you imagine? And you know why that came up? It came up because, have you ever watched that movie Joyride? The newest one.
Oh yeah,
The-
such
the-
a good
the
movie.
Asian one.
Super good. I
So-
liked it. I know it's like iffy for
I
other people. I
love
liked
it so much. I watched it like 5 times. But
Nice.
the last time I was over at my parents' house, I had told them that I go, yeah, I watched this movie Joyride. You gotta watch it. It's so funny, but it's kind of stupid, but it's kind of funny because my dad used to hate like very slapstick type of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's like retired and older, like he's just watched. He's ran through Netflix
Perfect.
and watched like every single thing on Netflix. Like he's bored of it. And now he's asking everybody for their Hulu and Amazon Prime like passwords. But like, he's
That's
like,
what
share
kind
it
of
with me.
retirement I want to get to. Like, I want to watch everything on every
And
streaming
so I'm
service.
telling him, I'm like, this movie Joyride, it's so funny. And like, because I think I had touched with him the stereotype of Asians and how like certain people don't know the difference between what a Filipino is and a Cambodian
Yeah.
or a Korean versus Chinese, or, you know, to certain people, we all look the same.
Yep.
Racist. But anyway, my dad, so I told my dad about this movie, and he's like, oh, I want to watch that. Do you have it? And I was like, it's on Amazon Prime. And so it happened my daughter was at the house, and so I'm like, I use my daughter's Amazon Prime. And so he's all like, can we watch it? And so it's such a funny movie, but like there's a part in the movie where they go and meet up with an international basketball team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a part in that, without giving too much of the movie away, you guys should watch it. It's kind of funny, but it's a lot funny to me.
Yeah.
But there's like some like sex scenes in there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like watching it with my parents, and I don't care how old you are, I still feel that uncomfortability. I mean, I'm like, damn, I'm at an age where I could probably have grandkids now, but I like I don't feel comfortable watching movies with my parents, like with scenes like that.
I don't feel comfortable watching them in general. Like, I know that I'm a 29-year-old woman, an adult now, but if there's a sex scene, like, I could be sitting next to my wife, but if a sex scene comes on TV, I'm still gonna like, I don't want to see this. Like, I look at my phone, even if it's just like the soft touching, or like it's kind of like the,
I think it's stupid.
you know what I mean? Like, that's like, I just don't want to see it. And she's asking me like, why? And I was like, I just feel uncomfortable. This is their moment. I can only imagine how uncomfortable they felt filming it. I feel uncomfortable just watching it. That's personally what's going on in my mind. I was like, I know you guys weren't into this, and so it makes me feel really bad. That like, I feel like that's what it is for me. I just can't watch, and it's always been like that, like since I was a kid. But maybe it's because my parents were just so big on like, close your eyes,
Modesty.
like, close your eyes.
It depends on who I'm watching it with.
Yeah,
Man,
so it
me,
definitely
my husband,
depends.
I'll be like, turn it off, let's go.
Yeah.
Or like,
No, but that's probably what it is too. That's like, I just don't want to watch it. I'd rather be doing it than watching it. Like,
if you're watching it with like girlfriends, or like for me, if something like that comes on, I think it's kind of funny because you sometimes you laugh, or like we'll be watching it and we'll all be into it, and then somebody will be like, okay, like,
yeah, right. But then that's the weird thing. It was like, it's kind of like a bunch of dudes getting together like to get horny in a strip club versus a bunch of girls getting horny together watching The Notebook. It's like
I'm gonna tell you right now that like I have some friends that are female, and we'll go to a regular strip club, not like an all male strip club, and get like guys. Like some of my friends are guys in girls' bodies.
yeah, and vice versa. And it's like, and I have friends that like are strippers, and like, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, everybody from all sorts of life in Las Vegas, especially.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like
it's
everybody's got their kicks. I get you saying.
To me, it's I don't know, it's a confidence thing. Like, honestly, I am not very comfortable in strip clubs. Not against anybody that's in a strip club. I just feel, I don't know, I feel like dirty.
I've never gone in one, and no, I don't. Everybody's like, oh, we need to
where we're going for her birthday.
I am never ever going. Thank you.
You think?
Thank you.
You think? Guess what?
I can go.
You guys
my
know
whole
who you
life.
are. Guess
It's
what
like,
we're
okay,
picking?
you know how like there's a game like Never Have I Ever? I was
Yeah.
like, that's the next one I'm gonna pull up. Like, never have I been to a strip club. See how many hands go down.
You're gonna be the only one, man.
Probably.
There's the times.
But yeah, you're into what you're into. Thank you for watching up to this point in the video. We're just gonna wrap it up. But yeah, this was episode 4 of Gloves and Roses. If you liked it, if you found it entertaining, please drop a like, give us a subscribe, and give us a comment. Anything you want us to talk about next episode, you know, share your feedback. Like, do you have pain with your spouse? Are you a twin? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks, guys.
Bye.